Senators introduced a bipartisan bill today that would designate Russia as a state sponsor of terrorism. The designation would expand sanctions against Russia and limit the U.S. aid to the country. It would also allow for U.S. nationals to sue Russia. And one Republican senator says the move sends Russia a strong message.
But if you worry about being too provocative regarding Russia, stop worrying. Stop worrying. You're not too provocative. We need to up our game when it comes to Russia.
His Democratic counterpart says Russia has earned the designation with its actions in Ukraine.
We visited in Bucha the site of the mass graves. Women and children, hands tied behind their back, shot in the head. I believe that the United States Senate has to take a stand.
The bill comes after Russian President Vladimir Putin's visit to North Korea, where both state leaders agreed to strengthen its ties.
The first presidential debate will be held by this Thursday by CNN ahead of the highly anticipated night. Both presidential candidates campaigned over the weekend in an important battleground state. Former President Donald Trump kicked off the weekend with an address to the annual Faith and Freedom Conference. In his speech, he celebrated the overturning of Roe v. Wade in 2022 and took credit for the Supreme Court's decision.
Well, thanks to these justices, we have also achieved what the pro-life movement fought to get for 49 years, and we've gotten abortion out of the federal government and back to the states.
Later that day, Trump traveled to Philadelphia for a rally. He took shots at President Biden's debate prep routine, mocking him for, quote, going to a log cabin to study for Thursday night's debate. The former president also mocked the rules of the debate and implied that Biden would be under the influence, saying, quote, he would get a shot to strengthen him up. And elsewhere in Pennsylvania, First Lady Jill Biden attended a Women for Biden-Harris event at Millersville University. The event focused on reproductive freedom, as today marks the anniversary of the overturning of Roe v. Wade. In her speech, Dr. Jill Biden said a vote for her husband would protect both women and the country.
And in a major decision by the Israeli Supreme Court today, judges ruled that ultra-Orthodox Jews are not exempt from the country's mandatory military service. The ultra-Orthodox community accounts for a fourth of Israel's conscription-age population. The exemption had been in place since the founding of the country. In 1948, the decision could spell political trouble for Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, whose government relies on the support of parties aligned with the community.
Ukraine is taking another major step towards the West. The European Union and Ukraine began negotiations for EU membership today, and it comes months after the bloc gave the country the green light to starting membership talks back in December. Ukraine originally applied to join the European Union in February of 2022, just days after Russia began its invasion of the country. Moldova, which borders Ukraine, also began membership negotiations today. The process for joining the EU will likely take several years and requires both countries to implement significant political and economic reforms. Yeah, take a look at that rushing water right there. It's rushing through Blue Earth River in Minnesota today. This is the aftermath of a partial dam collapse that you're seeing. Rising water and debris buildup behind the structure caused the collapse there. Blue Earth County officials said today the water flow rate is dropping, a signal that the situation is improving. This marks the second largest flood in the dam's history. One county emergency official says that while a total collapse is not ideal, the threat is not as major as some have reported.
There's a mistruth out there that people believe if the dam had a catastrophic failure, that a wall of 7-foot water would coming. The water level in a catastrophic event would not be that significant.
Welcome back. William Andrews was one of the first 3 people to orbit the moon and gave the world the famous Earthrise photograph. Yesterday, the former astronaut died when a small plane he was piloting crashed into the waters north of Seattle. He was 90 years old. King 5's Jim Nelson has more. Now, public schools in Louisiana will soon be required to display the 10 Commandments in all classrooms. The governor signed the legislation into law yesterday with the support of state Republicans. But Democrats are denouncing the law, and civil rights groups are ready to file legal challenges. CNN's Sherelle Hubbard has the story.
Welcome back. Today marks 2 years since the Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade, leaving the question of abortion up to the states. The debate over restrictions and protections continues on the state and federal level as the High Court considers another potentially monumental abortion case. Amy Kiley has more.
Boone County Electric Cooperative reports only 10 active members with the power out right now. There are almost 2,500 members without power last night. In the studio, John Murphy, KOMU 8 News.
The storm damage also disrupted schools in the area. Hallsville School District canceled in-person summer classes for today, citing the unsafe road and campus conditions. School officials and local volunteers spent the day clearing debris. Now the district plans to be open for summer classes next Tuesday.
And now is a great time to remind you, you can get weather alerts from us on your phone. Download the KOMU8 Weather app from the Google or Apple Store, or you can just scan the QR code on the screen to get the app and make sure you turn on those notifications. Patrick.
Yeah, I cannot stress enough how important it is to receive multiple ways to get weather alerts when there is severe weather out there. Sirens are great when you're outside, but if you're inside, it's not meant for you to be heard. And our KOMU Weather app, perfect app to get notifications for any storms that are going to pass through when they do. But looking at our nationwide temperatures.